All right, all yours.
Okay, great. So welcome to all, and thank you so much to be. It's a great pleasure to have a part of India Cloud Security Summit. Thank you so much for the Vignesh actually for to and fro having the which sessions and what topics to be included and all those things. So it's my pleasure to have this integration of the endpoint defender for the cloud apps and the integration of defender for the endpoints. So integration of those two. So you have an opportunity, guys, to win the existing exciting prizes. These are the very like Lenovo Tab is there, Eco Show it there. So yeah, have have a focus on this and take a participant and win the prizes. Then you could like it's a giving is a receiving. This is again a very noble cause for which we are having these sessions. We could donate our fund by visiting this link at the bottom is given. So whatever will like to contribute, please have a contribution, which is very noble cause again. So yeah. Then we need to have we are going to discuss what are the benefits of the integration of the endpoints for the Defender or endpoints of the Defender for cloud apps. And yeah, before that, just to start about me, I'm a architect at Apexon. Before that, I'm 10 year at the Tieto in Pune, now in Apexon, which is in Bangalore. Working as a cloud architect, mostly work on the SharePoint migration projects. I'm now working on the confidential computing, Azure confidential computing. So creating VM and Azure confidential VM and all those things. We have our level 3 data and how to make it more secure. And yeah, you could contact me anytime for M365, which is my passion again. Power Automate have a lots of work there in place, team governance and team security, a lot of work there, done. Some work for did for the Kubernetes and Go language. And my favorite topic again, one of the favorite topic is Microsoft Graph APIs. Nowadays, everything is coming under the Microsoft Graph APIs endpoints. So yeah, you could discuss me anytime if required any help or consulting. I feel I'm free to, or it's my pleasure to discuss with you guys. Almost 500 plus articles completed on knowledge-junction.in article site, writing on the various topics. Those are listed above. Mostly you will find it out on the Microsoft 365 and the Azure one there. So if you get a chance or opportunity or any Azure, there are the Azure networking series is there, which became very popular. So you could check and if you have a time, you could visit it out. And nowadays, since working on the confidential computing, Azure confidential computing, so lots of security sessions are I'm attending, uh, following the security groups over the social media like LinkedIn, Twitter, and trying to the have a hands-on on the cybersecurity as well. And that's why this session as well. You could reach me at Twitter, LinkedIn, or you could mail me at any time. So not spending much time on. Let's move to the agenda. So this when I started working on the Microsoft Defender, initially it was a bit confusing for me as well. There are lots of huge topics are there, lots of features are there. So I'll start, even though this session is basically for the integration of two services of the Microsoft Defender. One is Cloud App and other is Endpoint. But still like to go a bit back and we like to discuss the Microsoft Defender. What is it? What should be the, because it's always confusing when we start with these and these many features are there, these many services are provided there, and then again for each services there are lots of services, sub services or sub features are there. Like even though we just discuss about the Microsoft Defender for endpoint, then there is a vulnerability management, attack surface reductions. If we discuss for cloud app, cloud discovery is there, investigation there, blocking the securities, the policies are there, how to create the policies there. So lots of features are there. So it's always get confusion from where to start and how to start. If I need to start with my organization to implementing these security features, starting with the basics. So we'll discuss bit about the Microsoft Defender. We'll discuss bit about the Microsoft Defender for endpoint, Microsoft Defender for cloud apps, and then we'll discuss about the integration part. What are the benefits of this integration there to us? So let's start. So Microsoft Defender, it is again a cloud-based service which provide the various services if we in our organization to maintain the security, to manage the security, to monitor this security. Like we have the identities, which is the users, groups, our data in our cloud. Then our devices we call it as endpoints, which are connected to our network to access this cloud-based applications and services. Then we have various cloud apps, like for example, SharePoint Online is there. Again, Whiteboard is there. Even the Office apps are there. So these kind of apps, and then our network again, the infrastructure. So Microsoft 365 Defender, it contains the in terms of the Microsoft definition, they call it as a defense suite. Suite of the services, like services for endpoints, our devices, for our Office 365, which contains again the emails exchange as well and apps as well. Then for identity, for user or groups, we have our cloud ops which we are using, or our users in our tenants which are using. And then this recently have like a vulnerability management. So these kind of services which Microsoft 365 Defender provided. Let's move to the, I'll show you on my tenant how we will go through it. So if I go, this is my tenant, local tenant. This is again the E5 developer under the E5 developer program. So I have a license of the Office 365 E5 development license. So if I move to the admin, we have, there are the different admin centers. If I go to the show all, and then if I go to these admin centers, so we have a security, and today's our interest is under the security, which is nothing but the Microsoft 365 Defender. And then they will see bit about the endpoint management. So if I click on the security, I'll be navigated or redirected to the Microsoft Defender. So if you see here, this is Microsoft 365 Defender, and then you will see here the various services like assets, under which the identities and the devices comes, like the endpoints. Again, the vulnerability management. This comes again the Microsoft Defender for the Office 365 email and the collaboration, and then the cloud apps as well, the Microsoft Defender for the cloud apps. So if you notice this, these are the here services. So here one important point I like to highlight, to start with the implementation of the security in place to the my organization or my company or in my tenant, will need to have the proper agenda or plan in place. Where do we start? Because again, each of these services have their, as we discussed, we have various features, and so it's basically required we have a proper plan in my for implementing the security services in my organization, whether I need to start with the devices, whether I need to start with the apps, whether I need to start with the identities and this kind of plan, and then the again sub-level plan. So that was the first important thing to start with. Then this we also called it as a Microsoft 365 Defender portal. This is the like the URL is like security.microsoft.com. And again, there are another various services, like if you go to the here secure score, it shows the my organization secure score basically. So it shows the, if you see the view more, or if you go to the recommended actions and all those things, it shows like what is the risk now, what is your security score, uh, and what action you need to be taken. So one of the here is I have more than 3 or 4 global admins. So that was one action. Okay, you reduce the number of global admins, or 2 global admins are required, or something, or some implement some policies which are not, like block the legacy authentication. Now the modern authentication is get supported, so block the legacy authentication. So this policy is not in place, and it will add more 3% to your security score. So number is good. Then yeah. And one more just important point I'd like to highlight is here, when we click on any recommended action, we have very detailed description is here. Actually, the implement as well as the implementation plan, study material to learning more, and other details as well. So this is very good having the Microsoft provided in the Defender portal, Microsoft 365 Defender portal. Okay. So this is about the Microsoft Defender portal to start to begin the implementation of the security in my organization, in my customer tenant, or in my company where. So there are different things here, Learning Hub as well. So if you visit and if you start, then this is very good to start with the Microsoft Defender portal. Okay, now our interest is today we are going to discuss about the Microsoft Defender for endpoint, integration of the Microsoft Defender for endpoint and the Microsoft Defender for the cloud apps. So our interest is to discuss these two Defender services, which is for the endpoint and the cloud app. Cloud app. So let's move. So as we discussed, this is the standard definition wise, or to understand the concept. This is a defense suite which basically provide to have the investigate or to detect, to prevent the uh, sophisticated attacks or threats, or whatever the security risks, to manage the, or to make the minimal the security risks, and across different applications, endpoints, identity emails. So I'll just move ahead. These slides I'm not sure if we share these slides. These slides are the very detailed one, because with the snaps and concepts wise as well. So if you will go, you will understand as and you go through these slides. So there are some licensing requirements for to have this Microsoft 365 Defender. One more thing I like to highlight, this is my E5 developer license, which Microsoft gives us for the development purpose, which doesn't contain the Microsoft 365 Defender. Even though means you will find this is very bit difficult, because if you go to here in the Defender portal, what I'm showing under endpoints, you will see only the vulnerability management and no endpoints options here, because the license to this user is assigned, which is the E5 developer tax developer license, and for that license endpoints are endpoint services not available. If you have any E3 license or business license, then you could see it here. Even here it's mentioned that Microsoft 365 E5 or A5, but not for the E5 for the developer purpose. So that one point I like to highlight in case you didn't find the endpoint option here. So this is the one of the reason. But then the vulnerability management, it comes that we could enable for trial version, and that's why here the endpoints come. One more point, since we are discussing highlight to test it out or to trial it out, here is the trials option here. So under Microsoft 365 Defender trials option, if we click on the trials, here we have the Microsoft 365 trials, and you see here Defender for Office 365 is active. Um, Security trials is active, and I make the Defender vulnerability management active before our session start, because it's saying me that was for one day only. And then you have other trials as well, which you could try, like Microsoft Purview solutions or compliance assessment. But then this is a good place again, if you want to try and we don't have a license, or we don't want to do mess up with the customer license which we have, then this is Microsoft is providing the good options here under the trials. So you could try it for the Defender for Office 365 and vulnerability management, which is under the endpoints, Microsoft Defender for endpoints. Okay. Then these are few licenses which are required to have the Microsoft 365 Defender. So I won't go for each and every one, every license, but then important if we could have the Defender for Office 65 Plan 1 and Plan 2. The features we saw here, some features are in the available into the Plan 2. For vulnerability management, it's again different license. Some features are available into the Plan 1. So here in the slides, I am explaining each and every feature, and there I'm mentioning whether this feature is available for Plan 2 or Plan 1. Okay, so it depends actually. What is the requirement for my organization? Whether my security requires means I have very small user base and small tenant. If my requirement are get suffice with the Office 65 plan one, and it is based on completely based on the our tenant requirement. Okay. Now let's discuss with the Microsoft Defender for endpoints. We saw from the admin section, from the admin centers, from security, we could navigate to the Microsoft 365 Defender portal. Okay. So then again for the endpoints, as we saw here, endpoints, it's a vulnerability management available for my this tenant, and then again we could also manage through the endpoint manager admin center. So if I click onto it, I'll be navigating to the Microsoft endpoint manager admin center, where I could manage my endpoint security. If I go see, notice that I came to the endpoint.microsoft.com, and then I'm going to the endpoint security. So if I move to the endpoint security, I have here various features which the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint provides me, like antivirus, disk encryption. Here the BitLocker is used. We could create the policies, firewall endpoint detection, and response attack surface reductions. Here we in advance we got to know that which surfaces or which places the attack can happen, and so that one more important point is here. To start with the any point here, we need to create the policy. Yeah, like here one policy I have created for the antivirus, Microsoft Defender antivirus. If you see this policy, what I have selected the platform Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server with configuration manager and all those things. I could see the properties of here. Allow like instruction preventing system, turn on behavioring monitoring, enable on access production, real-time production. These are the various options when we create a new policy here. Like if I go to the antivirus and create a new policy, I need to select the respective platform and select the once I select the respective platform, then I need to select the these are the available profiles. Like for example, I'm selecting the Microsoft Defender antivirus. So it gives the details me, and then we could create. It asked me the few details, and then next, and it creates. So if we are beginning in our organization with the Microsoft Defender for endpoint, here the endpoint security, which provides the like these kind of features, but then for every feature we need to create a respective policy, and then which will get applied, and then we receive an alert, and our admins or our security admins can monitor this kind of thing. So starting with the Microsoft Defender for endpoints, basically what are the endpoints? Endpoints is like any device in our which connects to our organization network or corporate network. For example, mobiles, tablets, desktop computer, even the switches, IoT devices, laptops, all those kind of things. We consider them as an endpoint. And there are some cloud native endpoints which we join to Azure AD, which we registered through the Azure AD, and some endpoints which are like for the on-premises activity. And yeah, so there are these kind of types of endpoints like managed endpoints and the cloud native endpoints. So if I come to the Microsoft Defender for endpoints, these are all the services or Plan 1 capabilities which Microsoft Defender for endpoint services provides, and which we saw here as well under the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center. If you notice here, like one of the One of the service is the antivirus or attack surface reduction. So you will find here is the attack surface reduction, this kind of service. Then we need to create a policy underneath it to have it that service enabled in our organization or in our endpoint detection and response. So you will find here like endpoint detection and the response. This next generation protection is not it's nothing but having the real time threat detections. And this is basically not this is basically the antivirus which we have here. So if you could see here, create a policy of antivirus, and if you like select your platform and profile, then you will notice that okay, this is a next generation protection component of the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. And this also includes like machine learning or big data analysis and threat resistant research, just to protect our endpoints, our cloud infrastructure, to protect our endpoints or our devices in our organization. So in this way, so we could start with any services or like antivirus, disk encryption here, or endpoint detection and the response. Those we could start with it, and we could have then our IT team could analyze the logs which is getting collected or the responses from the services. So this is Microsoft Defender for endpoints, basically, which provide this kind of the services. Let's have this is the snap for the endpoint device, endpoint manager admin center for the endpoint security. So here again, this is we are defining what is the Microsoft Defender for endpoint, which is the security platform. Again, those are the same concept like prevent, detect, investigate, and response the advanced threat for my endpoints on my endpoints. This is again one of the service of the Microsoft 365 Defender, and it is also available in the plan 1 and the plan 2. Okay. Then the several components which like or the services which the Microsoft Defender for endpoints provided: threats and vulnerability management, asset discovery, attack surface reduction, where basically we identify the places where the possibility of possibility of the attacks or possibility of the threats is more, like hardware based, like hardware or my network or my web protection. It also provide the web protection or folder access or network firewall or something. So this attack surface reduction. So each service has we have attack surface reduction. Then the next generation protection, which we discussed, basically the antivirus, and which uses like concepts or the features like machine learning, big data analysis, and these kind of features to have it. And yeah, this is plan 2 feature, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint 2. So we have again the detail for every each and every services which the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint provide. When we integrate the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint with the my Microsoft Defender for Cloud app, there this antivirus is also comes into the picture. It blocks the unsanctioned application. How it does that algorithm we will see in the couple of minutes or in the next coming slide. But just here to notify how this antivirus service or antivirus component of Microsoft Defender for endpoints is used, and it is also benefited when we integrate with the cloud apps to block the apps, unsanctioned apps. So what is unsanctioned app, that we will see in the next slides. Okay, so these are the different features. I won't go here each and every feature because that is not our session agenda. We need to see the how integration happens, what are the things required for to the integration. So I'll move here, but in slides I have the detailed descriptions along with the snaps and yeah uh, features. So this is the way there is the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, where we have the services for the security of our endpoints, our devices in our organization. Then there are the cloud apps. Explicitly means by knowing or unknowing our users uses the different cloud apps when we have in our Microsoft tenant. As we discuss here, if you also notice the Snap, there is a Microsoft Xbox. There are lots of cloud apps. Let me go there. Let me go to the Microsoft Defender for cloud apps by visit from the Microsoft Defender. This is Endpoint Manager. This is the Defender. This is the Cloud app. And let me show you the Cloud app catalog. So around more, there are lots of Cloud apps which are available. So this is the Cloud app catalogs, and you could see the kind of the apps, my SaaS-based apps like Microsoft Xbox or Azure Virtual Desktop, Microsoft Worldline Online, Azure Services, Windows 365, Whiteboard, these kind of apps there. Office 365, which contains the Teams, SharePoint Online, Exchange Online, Team Admin Center is there, Microsoft Teams is there in this way. If I go next, you find the SharePoint Online as well, Microsoft SharePoint Online as well. So these kind of apps, and this is the portal for cloud apps, Microsoft 365 Defender. One more point, since we are discussing this, I would like to highlight is previously, if I go here at the bottom in Microsoft 365 Defender, more resources loading. So there are the different portal for the cloud app. If you see Microsoft Purview Compliance, or let me show you the basically Microsoft Defender for the cloud apps. So if I open this, it opens the different URL for me. Please notice the URL in the address bar. So it's my tenant name, or and yeah, initially, and then it redirects to the my tenant name, portal.cloudappsecurity.com. So there are these different portals there, but now all is whatever the Microsoft Defender for different services, all is are getting integrated or under one umbrella that we call it as Microsoft Defender, 365 Defender. And even here also, see this Microsoft Defender for cloud app is moving now. So in this way, we have everything is under, we are managing everything under from the Microsoft 365 Defender portal. But in case if you want to see what existing, those are still there, you could go to the more resources and visit those portals. Okay, let's move. So this is the cloud app catalog, and Microsoft Defender for cloud apps is nothing but again the SaaS-based solution. It's a services to have the threat protection against my cloud apps. So to know that to monitor my cloud apps, to restrictions to the users from accessing my which cloud app can they access, which user or which device group again, which devices on which devices these cloud apps are get access and those things. So these are the core services. This is again one of the core service of Microsoft 365 Defender. And these are the major functionalities of the Microsoft 365 cloud apps, which like to discover, analyze the logs from different sources. And here, when we do the integration, then here one of the sources get the logs from the Microsoft Defender from endpoint as well. Then monitors those logs, what happens, and then either block or restrict them, sanction or unsanction or authorize unaccessed data and something. So these are the major functions or services of the Microsoft Defender 365 for cloud app. So when I start with my organization implementing this, say for example, I need to start or I need to want the security in place for Microsoft for my cloud apps which my users are using. So here I need to come under the cloud services, and then we have the app governance and the files and activity logs and all those things, and we could create the policies as well, different policies as well from the policy management. If for example, let me show you one thing for files here. So we have created policies which restricts some files. Let me show you that. It's loading. Same from, I'm opening the policy management in the new tab, where we'll get an idea how to create the policies. still loading. Yeah. Meanwhile, it's loading. We'll move ahead. So basically, this is the SaaS-based application or the service of the Microsoft 365 Defender for our the apps, cloud apps which we are using. And this kind of apps, we saw that there is a huge list of the cloud apps which is the available. Okay. It's still loading. Okay, let's move. So these are now basically this is the integration basically. What is the integration and what benefits the integration provide us in my organization? So for example, uh, seamless shadow IT visibility. So when we integrate the Microsoft Defender for cloud apps, this diagram is just I simply draw it in draw.io just to clear it out the concept, because when we start, even when I started, it's bit seems to be a bit complex, but as we move, it get bit easier to understand as well. So when we integrate the Microsoft Defender for Cloud App and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, how to integrate that we'll see or we'll discuss in the next upcoming slide. But what are the benefits before that? Why I should do this integration in my organization? What benefit my organization will get or my IT security team will get? So stimulates shadow IT visibility. Now, what is mean by shadow IT visibility? When we use the cloud apps, my organization need the report, which are the cloud apps which are very heavily used by my users. It seems by looking at our users means it might be understand or not understand that I am using the this many apps directly, indirectly, or I'm using only 3, 4. So it's a similar side of visibility by collecting the logs basically. Then it also allows the cloud app administrator to block the access to end user to the cloud app. So if because of this integration, I get the benefit, I get the understanding, okay, my these apps are risky. These apps are have a threat. So I could block them. I could make them unsanction them. So that was my cloud app administrator get an idea, and then we could block those access to the end users to accessing those apps and all those things. It also helps to simplify role my cloud discovery. So what is the cloud discovery? So when I go to here my files that get log, which the files I have access and that kind of thing. And then this might also get a lot. These are the available policies like suspicious inbox manipulation rule, risky sign in. These are under the cloud app and the all policies. So here now we were discussing how this integration helped to me simplify the cloud discovery. Basically, cloud discovery is the like, for example, if I go to the cloud apps, here is a you have an option in Microsoft 365 Defender under cloud apps and the cloud discovery. So here basically it discovered the app. It shows me my all discovered apps here based on the either on the categories or whatever the category I select, or there are lots of options which kind of app based on the discovered app, my cloud storage apps or my content management apps and all these kind of options it shows me. So with the help of this integration, it's get this cloud discovery. I could run this cloud discovery on any device basically which is under my the corporate network. Either I could use the Wi-Fi or through remote access. So this is one of the benefit. And then again, it also allows me if I'm accessing outside, if I'm accessing my tenant or my application from outside my corporate network on my any device. So it also allow us to me, it get extended for me to discover those capabilities with the integration. So there are this kind of benefits when we integrate the cloud app integration with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. We are going to see one use case as well. Let's move ahead. And then how this works basically. How this works basically, there is like consider the example. So Defender for Cloud App uses the traffic information collected by Defender for Endpoint. Traffic information means the whatever the logs which are generated when I access my devices. So these logs are get available for the Defender for Cloud Apps. Then those logs are sent, our endpoint sent to the Defender for uh, cloud, uh, cloud app to provide the user information. What is also endpoint network? What is Defender for Endpoint Network also provides the my device context. This means device context means my the device details. So Microsoft Defender for Endpoints provides the logs which contains the device context basically, which contain the user information. These details are provided to the Microsoft Cloud App, Defender for the Cloud App. Once these device intakes, contacts and the usernames we have, then those are paired to get the which user did what kind of activity on what device. So we'll get and details of this to this. And then this also allows me to identify the from these logs, from this integration, from pairing my devices and users details from the logs which are provided by or which are provided from the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which we use to identify the risky users. Okay, so I got to know that from these details, this user is risky. Then in that case, I also get the visibility because of these logs. Who are the risky users? Which devices this risky user has identified? Which which devices this risky user has access? And once that, then I could also check if this device, if this risky user access this device, this might be a risky device. Then in that case, and then also check this device is accessed by who all the user. In case of the like shared desktop or if I have multiple users using the tab or that kind of IoT device, any kind of IoT device or something in that case. So this integration allows me to identify the risky users, risky devices, and then we could, my admin team or my IT security team could identify and notify the users. Okay, you have this risk and that kind of thing. And then we could also block with these logs the app which are used by those risky users from those risky devices. We could block them, we could make them unsanctioned. So in this way, this integration, basically to understand this integration much more, like they say, basically these are the logs provided by Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to the Microsoft Defender for Cloud App. Now there are various options how these logs are provided. We could upload them manually as well, and we could automate that process as well. But let's move to show the steps. So what I need to do to this have the integration in place. The prerequisites I required the licenses like Microsoft Defender for Cloud App, Endpoint Plan to license, or either this Windows license. And then we need to enable some settings. So what kind of settings we need to enable? So if we go to the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps and there is a setting, let me go from the portal itself. So I'm in the Microsoft Defender now. I'll go to the settings sections. Here I have various options available for settings like Security Center, Microsoft 365 Defender itself, endpoints itself, and then we have the for cloud apps as well. So when I click on the cloud apps, there is the option called Microsoft Defender Endpoints. If I scroll down, if you see here, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, I need to go and just to make it enable, I need to enable this option here. Enforce app access, Microsoft Defender for this is one, but before that I would like to show another option. It's my uh, My bad. I'll need to show another option first. Let me go to the settings again. I'll come to this option back again. Endpoints. So before that setting, I would like to show you this setting to enable the integration in between Microsoft Defender for endpoints and the cloud apps. So I need to come to the Microsoft Defender portal, then settings, then endpoints. Refresh. Under the endpoint settings, there is an advanced feature. And under the advanced feature, I need to enable Microsoft Defender for cloud apps. This I enabled before starting our session discussion just to check what kind of report it how it affects to our tenant, but it takes around 2 hours to get this integration service in place. But by default, this option is off. We need to go and make it on. So if you notice this, if you read it there, this forwards the Microsoft Defender for endpoint signals to Defender for cloud apps, giving administrator deeper visibility into the both sanction cloud apps and shadow IT. Shadow IT means we discussed that basically I want to know that which users are accessing which apps and how much percentage they are, which are the heavily used app, which are the new app, and these kind of app details basically. And it also gives them the ability to block unauthorized application when the custom network indicator setting is turned on. Now, what is custom networking indicator setting? There is one indicators list is maintained by the Microsoft Defender for endpoints, and there is an option for here as well. So that also we need to on see. And this custom network indicators list basically it allows us to block connections to based on the IP address domains or URLs. So what exactly happened, how it works, that we will going to see now. But then these two settings here, we need to make it on. Now that I will back to the our previous cloud app settings, which we were discussing. And what is that setting? Once these settings are placed, we are ready to have the integration. Those is in the place. And then one of the benefit as we discuss of the integration to allow the users or to block the apps. So that can be done by here. Cloud apps. Again, under settings, there is a cloud apps. And then there is an option called Microsoft Defender Endpoint. Let me find that. This one, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Here we need to check this option. Here two setting we need to change. We need to check these settings on, and then we need to set the alerts at the informational, that means for the global level. So here why this option is disabled at my end, because as I mentioned, my license is Microsoft 365 E5 developer edition, and for developer editions this option is disabled. Either I need to have only E5 Microsoft 365 E5 or E3 or whatever the list of license available, plan 1 or plan 2, then this option is enabled. But to have the integration is in place, we need to check this box check, and then we need to select the alerts as a informational. Okay. So this is configure the severity of signal sent to Defender for endpoint. And these settings allow us to block access to the apps that were marked as unsanctioned. What exactly happens when we mark, let's see how to mark or how to allow to the block access. Let's see that use case. So I'm again going to the my cloud apps. So we need to consider I identify the risky app and I need to block that app from using. So I'm again going to the cloud catalog. I could go to the cloud discovery as well, but since there is no data for cloud discovery in my tenant, so I'm going to the cloud app catalog. And you select any app. Like here I am selected this Microsoft Whiteboard. Here we have an option sanction and unsanctioned. And that means the unsanctioned means we could allow this app as to a block. So here I have used this Microsoft Whiteboard option. So I'm doing this from the Cloud App Catalog from my various apps, and I am unsanctioning it. But unsanctioning it means it doesn't get directly blocked. For that, say for example, if I go to the whiteboard application now, say where is my whiteboard? This one. If I'm now moving to the my whiteboard, I could use this whiteboard app. But then my admin will have the like it's like get monitored. My admin will have the more okay this is an unsanctioned app and this app is getting used. So more data insight for this app. But we could still block that. But here I couldn't demonstrate by blocking the app since we have that setting. We saw that block app which is disabled in my tenant. But then if I make it unsanction it and we may and I make it from the settings endpoints block this we make it, then I can't use the whiteboard option here. Okay, so this feature this is allowed only because of the integration settings are there. The basically, and what happened when one more thing, what happened when I make it unsanctioned? Let me show you the algorithm exactly. What happens when we unsanction it? These are the settings labs. Yeah. What exactly happens when we unsanction the app? How these apps sorry how these apps get blocked? So what does Defender Cloud App takes advantage of these network protection capabilities? We can block app by as we saw, we could tag them as a unsanctioned in the portal based on the uses of that app, unsanctioned app and the risk assessment app. The app domains are used to create domain indicator in the Defender for endpoint. This is the list. So based on the domain of that app is get blocked. How this works? See, so this integration allows us me to tag it them as a unsanctioned or sanctioned, basically unsanctioned, and then by tagging it only unsanctioned, it doesn't get blocked, but it get more monitored. More logs are more deep, logs kind of generated for this kind of acts. Their usage is get identified or the risk along with these apps are uh, get identified, and based on that when this domain indicator list is getting updated, this apps domain like whatever the domain for this Microsoft Whiteboard which we have unsanctioned, that is get listed into the domain indicators list. And then this Microsoft Defender antivirus, see antivirus again, this is a next generations uh, and which is the service of Microsoft Defender for endpoint, which is running on our devices, endpoint devices, use this domain indicator list to block access to these apps. So this is bit, this is behind the scene happens actually. We no need to know, but then this is good to know how it works basically, how this integration work, how this integration helps to my organization to blocks the specific apps, then the find the devices where this app is running or find the users, risky users who uses these specific devices, and then from identify app and block and unsanctioning from cloud app, how these logs are get generated based on the uses and the risk assessment, and then how the Microsoft Defender for endpoint component antivirus next generation detection uses these endpoint devices or uses that domain indicator list to block the apps. Okay. So this is the way benefit of the integration where we integrate the two defenders, like one for defender for endpoint and cloud app catalog. Basically, logs are get shared based on the logs. It allows us blocking, unblocking, and then we could do the respective action. User gets notified. Okay, these apps you are using, or these are the risky apps, and that kind of thing. Or admin, my security admin or my cloud app admin could warning the user as well, notify the warnings as well uh, to the users for those respective devices as well. Then it also allows me to discovery of the devices which is not in my organization network or corporate network. These are like benefits of the integration. So this is like for the starting purpose when we really use and based on the different licenses, screenshot may get bit identified because when I'm implementing this in my local tenant or research on different sites have, or even the Microsoft's some places
Prasham,
have.
sorry to disturb. We have 10 minutes left, just an FYI.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Concluding. Yeah. Okay. So we might get different snaps. It's keep changing. You might see the URLs of different portals. Now everything is under Microsoft 365 Defender. So best way to start, best way to understand it, starting with the Microsoft 365 Defender along with one service at a time, based on my organization priority. What I need to, for which service I need to put a security in place. Okay. There are lots of learning material, but and it might create most of the time confusion as well for this these kind of concepts. But yeah, important thing is the hands-on and really do what's available for my the licenses which are available in my organization. What features are available under those licenses, like plan one or plan two. So based on that, or my Windows licenses, or when I do the Microsoft Defender for my endpoints. Okay. So here these slides I didn't went to the slides, complete slides at all. There are around 30 plus slides with the snaps. But please remember these all are based some few diagrams which I draw. Uh, I'm trying to simplify the concepts, trying to simplify the things which I understood. But please note that these all are available, which is snaps are available for Microsoft 365 developer E5 developer license. Okay, so you might have sometime different snaps or something based on your licenses. But if we upload these slides somewhere, please go through it once. You will understand, and it's very handy to start with the Microsoft Defender. Okay, so this is all for my today. What I would like to highlight the things. This is Microsoft has come up with. This is very what we say very important portal or the security features for my tenant. Licensing cost may vary. That I won't go into it. But then if we have available, then please try to use it with the different services and the integrations and all those things. Here again, before having any taking any questions or any discuss to any points, I would like to thank you for all the sponsors, Microsoft, Panthera Technologies, judges. So thank you so much, Rapid Circle, and yeah, the other assistant. And thank you so much for having these such kind of events in place and having opportunity to discuss and to learn as well. Lots of good sessions today. I'm attending whole day all session on track 3 security sessions. Lots of discussion on Microsoft 365 Defender as well. So that is very good to have understand the concepts. And I'm very thankful to all sponsors and organizers. Again to Vignesh and Narsinha and Jashit, all uh, uh, yeah, who were the organizations. Please join the next session, which is by Jayesh, founding manager of Trustlia AI. So that was again, I believe, it's a very good session from Jayesh again. Please be tuned. Only couple of hours now. So it's very having a great learning day actually today. Thank you so much for who are present and attending the sessions. If any question, I am available for all the time till the session ends on the Teams. uh, whatever the questions related to Microsoft 365 Defender or integration, I will try to give the answers to those. Thank you so much.